Lifestyle Indie focuses on a variety of topics including people, businesses, sports, health, and more, while always staying upbeat and positive.
Lifestyle Indie is made possible with support from Westport Homes, dedicated to building homes for every chapter of life, with plans and details that match customer-specific needs and style. Additional funding is provided by Altman, Poindexter, and Wyatt attorneys, serving clients throughout Central Indiana with wills, trusts, and estates, with over 70 years of combined experience.
All right. Welcome to Lifestyle Indie, our podcast, our live FaceTime event. This is something new for us, but we're very excited that you are a part of it. Hopefully you are watching and telling all your friends. Tell them right now. Right on your little Facebook thing, your Twitter, your Instagram, and just say, hey, Lifestyle Indie is live right now. You got to watch it. It's Julie Patterson along with Kelsey Burton from Paws and Think.
Yep.
Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
I see you brought 4 furry little paws with you today. This is, introduce your guest.
Yeah, my guest.
You're my guest. This is your guest.
This is Pipsqueak. She is the smallest therapy dog that we know of even in the United States. She only weighs 1.8 pounds. And she's exhausted from the heat, as you can see, just
Can they see
in
this
general.
cute little tongue?
Yeah,
She's
here.
kind of got a little bub tongue going. Look.
Yeah, so her little tongue flops out.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But can she eat?
Yeah, she can. She eats
It's a dumb question.
wet food. Yeah.
Really
No,
stupid
we don't
question.
feed her, We just see how it goes. But no, she does. We just do wet food. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's actually pretty ravenous little dog. So she
Like a high
loves-
metabolism kind of thing?
She
or-
does. She has a liver shunt, so her body doesn't
cool.
really filter much through her liver, so she doesn't really keep much weight on. So even though she eats a lot, she's still very little.
The story of Pipsqueak is interesting. You have 4 dogs.
Yep.
We will talk about Paws and Think, I promise. But, when there's a dog or a kid, they steal the show all the time. How did you acquire or become the owner of Pipsqueak?
Yeah, so a rescue up in Wisconsin contacted us and apparently knew we were suckers for,
Because Wisconsin, that's not even close.
No, it's not. But, they needed someone that was able to handle a special needs dog and adapt their life to her small size, basically. And so, of course, I came running, and I was a foster fail in about 5 minutes, where I said, yeah, instead of fostering her, we're going to adopt her. And then we got her home, and she has a lot of physical disabilities. So she has a liver shunt, hydrocephalus, some spinal
that's the brain
deformity.
thing. Okay.
Yep. She has some fluid on her brain.
Right.
And then one of the first things we noticed was her teeth were just horrendous. She was about 2 years old when we got her, and they estimated just with all her stuff, she'd only live to be about 2.5.
Oh.
But we saw the biggest change in her personality was after we got all her teeth removed, and just none of them could be kept. They were just so bad. And so that's why her little tongue flops out, because she has no teeth.
No
Yeah,
teeth.
but she's 7 years old now, so she's doing so
Oh.
great. Yeah, she's just, every checkup, the vets are always just kind of impressed that
Amazed.
that she's still doing it, and that she loves people like so much. And so she's a therapy dog, which who would have thought, when I went and picked her up 5 years ago, that she would love to run into Peyton Manning Children's Hospital and see her little friends there. And she goes to school every week during the school year. And she, if they're off for spring break or something, she's very mad.
She knows.
Yeah, she
Her
starts going
schedule's
to the
off.
door. Yeah, she starts going to the door and then barks at me. So, I've had to just drive around the neighborhood. to,
Like pretending
appease
you're
her.
going.
Yeah.
Take her to Starbucks or something. A pretend
so
adventure.
Just to appease her, yeah. So, so she goes, she's kind of my little sidekick. She goes with me
Everywhere?
Yeah, everywhere that we have therapy visits. And that, obviously dogs are allowed to go.
Yeah.
So,
Well, now she's a little podcast star.
yeah, he is.
Pipsqueak. Seriously, Instagram, she has an account. Just look for Pipsqueak the dog.
Yeah, Pipsqueak _ the dog on Instagram. And then she has a website, which is pipsqueakthedog.com.
Oh my gosh, she's got almost 7,000 followers.
I know, which, again, my husband and I just did this as fun, and we didn't try anything. And people just, get to know her out in the community, because she really is out everywhere. She's won the smallest dog contest in Indianapolis a few times and stuff like that. So,
What's the price for that? Tiny little biscuits? Or
Yeah, she actually got the world's biggest dog bed. I'm serious. It was so funny when they gave it to us, because I don't think they realized she was
So
the dogs,
small.
right? So her big sister, who's a dachshund and weighs 11 pounds, that's her bed. Yeah, that's her big sister. So
So 4 dogs. You have this, Pipsqueak, a dachshund. What else?
Hermie, which he's like a little mutt. I don't know what he is. And then, we did the DNA, but yeah. And then,
of course you did. You did the DNA on a dog.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
I've heard of that.
A little Maltese, Lily.
So they're all smaller dogs.
They are. We never meant to be like the small dog crazy people, but she kind of did it for us. Pip did. So, I grew up with like medium-sized dogs. My husband did too. We got a couple dachshunds that we had rescued, and then we had to kind of alter our house. We have ramps. We have safety, safety things all in check so that she doesn't fall or hurt herself.
It's Pipsqueak proof.
Yes, seriously. Yeah, it really is. That's so cute. We should like copyright that. But yeah, she's so because of that, we're able to, rescues know. And in the rescue, there's one called United Yorkie Rescue, which we got 2 dogs that are not Yorkies from, which is kind of ironic. Yeah. Yeah,
how does that work?
I know, which, whatever. But they know, like, when they're very small that we have the setup to be able to handle them. And most of these very small dogs that are bred way too small, they have a lot of physical issues. And so people think, oh, Pip's so sweet and so cute. And we do a lot of education with them about what it means to have a dog like Pip.
It's got to be expensive.
It is. Yeah, it's not cheap. So we always laugh that her adoption fee was free. And she's been the most expensive dog we've ever had. But, she's totally worth it. And when I see, the kids run over to her at the hospital and the oncology ward and their whole day just lights up and, they're so happy to see her and they don't really care that, for that few minutes that they're sick. I think it's totally worth it. So
I love her little mouth. I just want to see more of it. It's
okay.
So
there it is.
So Paws and Think,
obviously involves animals, dogs. Paws, P-A-W-S, and Think. You're the executive director. You brought your therapy dog. Tell me how Paws and Think uses those therapy dogs in the community.
Sure. So our entire goal is just to improve lives through the power of the human-dog connection. So pairing up people in need with dogs. And so what we do is we have about 125 therapy teams. And the therapy team is a handler and his or her dog. So like Pip and I would be considered one team.
So it's usually the owner, isn't it?
Yeah, yep. So therapy dogs are with their owner for Paws and Think. And, first and foremost, they're somebody's pet. So it's somebody's pet that has an amazing temperament, who loves people. And, it's just one of those dogs where you've met them before, I'm sure, where they just run over to the people and their tails are wagging and they just can't get enough of being, around humans. And so what we do is they go through a class called our therapy skills training class.
Okay.
Then they have their evaluation, which is like the big test to see if they can pass skills related to therapy skills.
What is that, like sit?
Well, that's basic obedience. They should already have that when they come to us.
Yes,
so this is more like, how do they do with group petting, loud noises? How do they do around medical equipment? So we'll have wheelchairs and
things that beep.
Yeah, and like walkers. So we do walkers with like the tennis balls on the bottom.
Yes,
and because some dogs are tennis ball obsessed and they don't realize when they're out and about, some people have that. So we have to see how they do with that.
Interesting.
So it's a special set, and we follow all the national and international guidelines for layman term is pet therapy, but it's called animal assisted interventions, is the fancy term. So we follow all the guidelines of what to look for. We reevaluate or retest our teams every 2 years.
Good. Yeah.
Because temperaments can change.
They can. Some people get old and crotchety.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name any names, but you know who you are.
Yeah, we all know some. For sure.
People, pets.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes the dogs just get to a point where they just don't really like the work anymore. And we want to make sure they like the work. It's not about me loving bringing her in. It's about her. Like if I went in one day and she decided that, hey, you know what, I'm not feeling it today, and she turned around and didn't want to go in, we wouldn't do a visit that day because she's telling me she doesn't want to do it. So after, we also do a handler's class. That's part of our requirement when you become a team. And so it's just for the handler. We go over body language, stress signals, and then like what ifs. Like, what do you do if your dog throws up, in one of the venues, right?
What do you do?
Right. And so we go through how you clean it up, you let the appropriate person know, and then you try to figure out, is your dog sick? Like, don't just let it go, figure out the cause for it. So,
my goodness.
So there's a lot that goes into it. People, some people will say, oh, I just don't, you're letting people pet your dog. Well, it's so much more than that.
So much more than that.
And a lot more goes into it. And it really has to be a mutually beneficial thing. The dogs have to enjoy it and the people that we're with have to enjoy it as well. And we're the largest therapy organization in Central Indiana. So
that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's great.
Which is really cool because we're local. Yeah, and we're local, which is really cool. So we're not a national organization with just a chapter here. This is us. Like our board's here, I'm here. So, I mean,
have other states or communities reached out to you like, hey, this is a great model. Can we steal it, kind of a thing? And how does that work?
Right. And we have, I mean, it would be great if we could be everywhere. We, in the last 3 years, have like exploded in the community with how much we've been able to do. And so really, I think the next time we get our strategic plan, the board's going to need to think, what do we look like in the next 5 years? What does that look like? But we do. And especially we have our other side of our organizations, our Youth Canine program. And that's where we pair up at-risk youth with shelter dogs. Wow. And the kids train the shelter dogs in basic obedience. And so it's really a win-win for both sides.
Great.
So the kids learn life skills, and then the dogs become more adoptable because they know their basic manners. And so like we partner with Indianapolis Animal Care Services, Hamilton Humane, and we work with the kids at the Marion County Juvenile Detention Center. Yeah. So the incarcerated youth, we take the dogs there, they stay there, the kids train them, and then they go back to the shelter. And actually we just had 5 amazing dogs, 4 of which have actually potential to be therapy dogs. That's Their demeanor was so cool. Yeah. Wow. And they just went back to animal care yesterday. So they're available for adoption, and animal care is like beyond full right now.
Yes.
And so, I mean, it's kind of one of the scary, like, we really need to get these dogs homes.
Are those particular dogs identified with their...
Yep. Yeah. Great question.
So, like
so
the last sticker or something.
Perfect. So the last day the kids make a kennel card, which is like, you know, like their report card that says they learned all this stuff. And so and it's so hilarious. It's like these, especially like the guys at the detention center, right? Yes. They have this like rough demeanor, and they get like glitter stickers out. Oh yeah. I mean, they go for it because they want their dogs kenneled. I mean, like they are invested.
They want them to have a good home.
Yes,
they care about these animals.
So that goes right on their kennel. So when you walk down, you know, the kind of bleak rows, you see these things. And then also some of the kids write letters to the future owners, and so that'll be on the backside, and it's what the kids say, like why they think they would be a good pet. And so, I mean, we try to get every kid to do it, but it is an optional thing, but we should have at least 1 letter per dog. So we really, and then also Hamilton Humane, we have 1 dog there that's still waiting. Her name's Teresa, and she's just really fallen apart at the shelter setting. So we need to get her. She's an older pity mix, so she's, you know, a little harder.
Tough on them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when I would try to, you know, when you travel and you are looking for options for your dog to stay outside of your home.
Right.
Like some dogs just can't handle it. And I can't even imagine being in that setting.
Right.
Not that it's a bad setting, but it's
stressful.
It's stressful. Right. You're in a cage. Everybody else is barking and awake. And
yeah. And you can't figure, I mean, you know, some of these dogs don't know, you know, where did their people go and why are they there? And so, so Teresa's one right now. She's kind of got my heart because she's just.
Okay. Hamilton County.
Yeah.
Go pick
Hamilton
up Teresa.
County Humane Society. Yeah.
Go get her.
So I know she's very sweet. Yeah.
Okay. What kind of dog? Oh, you said a pity mix.
She's like a pity mix, and she can't have other dogs. So that's kind of the issue. Like, you know, a lot of our followers
are
and
dog
supporters
people and
already have dogs.
Multiple dogs.
Yes. So
Exhibit A.
See, and I don't even feel like 4 is that many. Like I would keep pushing it if my husband would let me.
It's hilarious.
I know. He keeps me in check though. I'd be broke with like 10,000. You know, dogs.
Right. Who needs food when when Pipsqueak needs some meds?
I know, or a cute new beau.
Yeah, a cute new beau. Oh, it's interesting because before we started the podcast, you were talking to me about everything is custom with her because she is so tiny. I mean, the bow's probably the only thing that isn't, and maybe it is custom, but
nope, that's the only
custom everything. Like you can't even find a handkerchief her size. This
we
is
had
homemade.
To make it. Yep, and dog beds are either for guinea pigs or ferrets, or this one was actually for like a toy dog. So so that's how we.
And she has a little ferret.
Yeah, a little ferret harness. Yeah, that's the only one we've been able to find to fit her.
Everything's custom. That's very funny.
So she's again. You know, it's not like we spoil her or anything. So.
Oh, right. So these therapy dogs, you say you have 125 that go out into the community. So I know you've got the Paws and Read program. That's the one that goes into the schools, correct?
Schools and libraries, and Indy Reads and Julian Center and Coburn Place. So and that one's really cool because what the teams have gone through additional training through a national affiliate that gives us the training supplies for it called Read, Reading Education Assistance Dogs, and so they get an additional training, and then they go into the schools every week and work with kids that have been identified for the program. And depending on the school and the needs, it can be it's so much more than just they're behind in reading. It's usually they're behind in reading because there was a trauma, or they have learning delays or disabilities, or you know, mom and dad are going through a divorce and the kid can't concentrate. So we identify those kids at the beginning of the year with the help of a literacy coach or someone who's working with them, and then every week they come and read to the same dog. So we work with the same kids every single week. This last year, we just got all the reporting back from all the schools, and our kiddos increased 4.5 reading levels, which is
my goodness,
double
that's
what
huge.
we normally do. Yeah,
that's
it's more. Normally we're about 2 reading levels, but and I know we're just one piece of the pie, right? So there's a lot of extra things going in to help those kids read, but just to get a kid excited to go down to the library,
open a book, right? Exactly right.
And we do things called dog days at some of the more inner city schools, and this is where we open it up for all the kids. And so usually the school will identify the kids some way. So either they, read a certain number of books throughout the year, and then that day they get to read to the dog too, because it can be hard to see the dog come in, and only certain kids get to read to the dog. And
I've been in those rooms. I work in a school during the day, and I've been in those rooms, and the kids are just chomping at the bit to get with the dog, and they're so impatient.
Yes.
But they typically get a turn, but not everybody gets a turn.
So we try to do that, and then we provide books for all the kids in the school. So our awesome donors, they help us out, and so we are able to give every kid a book. And for some of these schools we go to that are very inner city, the kids literally have no reading material at home, no magazines, no newspapers, nothing, and they just absolutely light up. And we say, the books are a present from the dog, so they get really excited about that. And we've given, Pip has a little book too that was written. Yeah, and so
Pip,
this book.
You have your own book. Will you autograph it for me, please?
She does. I don't know if this one has.
What?
Yeah, well, this one was a practice page, so there's 2. But this is actually, we got a custom-made stamp made of her foot so that she could stamp it for the kids. So it is.
Can I peek?
Yeah, so it is actually a paw print of her foot that was carved by an artist.
It looks like a fake little.
Yeah, so she carved it right from a little thing. But yeah, obviously that was my test page. I wasn't.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so there's 2 on there.
Is it the story of Pip?
It is. It's the story of Pip. Yep, and all the proceeds go back to Paws and Think. And it was written by Jamie Lehman, and it was illustrated by Gabriel Lehman, who's a really well-known and amazing artist, and he surprised me with that book. So there were lots of tears.
That was really kind.
Yeah, when I saw that. Well, they're really passionate about Paws and Think and giving back to the community. So, so it's all about her life and about how even though she has a lot of ailments, that she still is a complete dog.
Of course. We're gonna hold it.
Okay, there we go.
It. Super cute. Super cute. Love it. Okay, so we've talked about Paws and Read. Paws and Think is the umbrella to Paws and Read. Then there's, I guess we could call this Paws and Pods.
Yeah, hey,
Paws
I love
and
it.
Podcast.
Yeah, I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yes. Let's do it. Maybe we'll meet over time. We'll meet other rescue pups.
Yeah.
And their handlers. Okay, so you also have Paws and Heal. That's Tell us about Paws and Heal.
Yeah, so that's all the hospitals that we go to. So we go to a lot, and we actually run the entire therapy program for St. Vincent. So,
what?
Yeah, and
That's
Peyton Manning
cool.
Children's Hospital.
Now, is that just something you went to a meeting one day and was like, we really are passionate about this. It would be really cool for your patients. Kind of pitched it, and
if
then
it was just one meeting, but it was a lot of work. It was.
Sure.
They actually were looking for a therapy organization, and so they had a few of us write proposals of what that would entail. And so we wrote it and let them know what funding we would need to be able to run that program. And what's really cool is they donated enough for us to hire someone to run the program at St. Vincent.
Nice.
So we're up to over 20 teams that just exclusively go to St. Vincent and to Peyton Manning Children's Hospital. We have multiple visits every day, and we see the staff a lot too, because the staff, it's hard, hard work for the staff. So we do that too, and it's been incredible. We've been doing that for about a year now, and some of the coolest things I've ever seen have happened, at the hospital, where a little kid's scared to go to surgery and asks if the dog can ride in the bed with her. And so we put down, a barrier, and the dog rides with the kid up till they go into surgery. And the kid, all of a sudden, it's just like it's a swap. It's from them being terrified and sometimes crying to they're paying attention to the dog. So that's where their focus is. And, and they can talk to the dog and say, I'm scared. And the dog's not going to judge them. The dog's just going to love them no matter what.
Right, lick them.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So, no matter what, the dog's got that unconditional love, that non-judgmental, just open heart that I think so many
pets
kids
animals are.
Oh, yeah. Well, and so many, especially the kids and some of the elderly that we work with, they just don't have that. They don't have, someone in their life that gives them that besides maybe pets. And so it's just
unconditional love is hard to come by. It really truly is.
I think for people it is. I think for dogs, not so much. I think it's pretty easy for the vets.
Their purpose is pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, for sure. So we do that. But we also go to Riley Children's Hospital, Eskenazi, IU Health, and I'm probably forgetting some. But so we go to a lot of different hospitals. The VA hospital, that's the one I was forgetting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we have teams everywhere. And then we also go to a lot of other healthcare facilities that aren't hospitals, so that kind of fall under that umbrella, like assisted living or elder care facilities, memory care units. And then we also do Joy's House, which is like one of the coolest nonprofits. It's for people that are adults that have, that need someone to take care of them during the day. And
it's like adult daycare. We've done stories on that. We've done stories on that.
So
before.
we love Joy's House too. That's really fun.
Yep. We do too.
So so we've got that one. And that's, really one of the cooler programs. I love all of our programs, but it's just so neat to see somebody who, like someone who's elderly, who's alone, who maybe has memory care, memory issues, they have Alzheimer's or dementia, and they see one of our dogs, and all of a sudden they start telling us about their dog they had when they were young.
I was going to say, some of them probably had to give up their dog to go to assisted living as well.
Yeah, so that's, it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It's really good.
So on a daily basis, that has to just be so rewarding for you as the executive director of Paws
and if
and
I
Think.
get like bogged down and I'm behind my computer a bunch, like working on grant proposals or working on, strategic plan initiatives, that's all very important stuff. But if I, if it's one of those things where I've been doing that for a few days and I'm like, whew,
I got to
all
get
I have to do,
out of the house, man.
Yes, right. And all I have to do is just go observe one of our visits, and it just totally resets me. It's like, oh yeah, all that kind of mind-numbing stuff that I'm doing.
Right. Yeah, the proposals and things.
It totally matters. Or I go to the shelter from one of our dogs from Youth Canine, and I go walk them, and I'm like, oh yeah, like we're gonna help you, buddy. Like we've changed your path in life, basically. And so sometimes you just have to reset yourself, and I think that's a good reminder for anyone, is if you're doing something and you don't get to be part of the efforts, if you're kind of behind the scenes, go check it out. Sometimes it just kind of resets you, and it helps a little bit. So and I have a therapy dog, so I go with her a lot to places,
obviously.
But if I didn't have her, I'd have to remind myself to keep going. So
We're talking to Kelsey Burton. She's the executive director of Paws and Think.
Yep.
That's the umbrella organization, and this is little Pipsqueak if you're just joining us. If you want to, if you have a question, I'm at RealJulieP on Twitter. I'll look at it right now, see if we have anything.
Great.
That is the cutest little dog I have ever seen. I need to get to that shelter in Hamilton County and see if Teresa is still available.
Yes, please do. She's a sweet baby, but she's one of those two. I think when you get her out of the shelter and home, I think she's going to be a totally different dog because she's pretty shut down at the shelter. So, give her a little time to adjust.
Are you allowed to spend time with the shelter dogs?
So you can go and, ask to do a meet and greet and go check them out. And at Hamilton Humane, they want anyone in your family to meet the dog. And that includes, anyone that happens to be at your house a lot too. And just make sure everybody, the dog doesn't have a reaction to anyone. And again, for Teresa, she can't have other dogs. And I'm not sure about cats, though. You'll have to ask Hamilton Humane. I'm not sure if they've cat tested her. So she's very sweet.
Yeah.
So yay, I love that.
Okay. All right. Good. Yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
J.W. Gabe.
And we do have one other really cool program coming up that I probably isn't on our website.
Let's talk about it.
Yes, I know. I got really excited. It's called Camp Healing Tree. And so it's through Brooks Place, and Brooks Place is for grieving children. So it's any child that has experienced the loss of someone close to them. We work very closely with them. So we go to support groups on a weekly basis, multiple times a week. We do a reading program with the kids there. So we're very involved with them. And one of the most rewarding things we do is this camp. And it's one weekend in August. And it goes from Friday to Sunday. And all the kids come from Brooks Place and other organizations that are
deal with the grief
focused with that. And what's so cool is all these kids, they're all the same, right? So they're no longer the kid in the class that's mom died, or they're all in the same boat. And it's just beautiful to watch these kids throughout the weekend just bond and grieve, have a safe place to be sad.
To talk about it too, where other people understand and can relate.
Yes. And so we have one dog per group. So we have 12 to 15 dogs that spend the whole weekend there with each group of kids. And so it's really, it's just phenomenal. And we've been doing that for a while now. And it's one of those things. I do the check-in table, and they come up to the check-in table and immediately say, which dog do I have? They want to know right away. Which dog is it this weekend? Yeah. So, and we've seen some breakthroughs at Brooks Place. We had a little dog that came in one time, and that dog's dog mom had just died. And so, and so the handler said, you have to be really gentle with the dog today. Her dog mom just died. And the kid had not been been able to say for a very long time that he lost his family member. And that's really important in the healing process. And
that
it was to the point
they verbalize
that they can
it?
say,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that they can say, you know, my mom died. And it was one of those things where the Brooks Place staff was getting a little worried, you know, that he wasn't able to verbalize this. And instantly when she said that about that dog went over to him and he sat down and said to her, "It's okay, I lost my mom too." And I mean, it was just one of those moments where it was like, if that dog hadn't been there, how long would it have been until he had said that? And so from that, one of the Brooks Place board's members said it was in that moment she knew that dogs were magic. And that's kind of been our slogan ever since then. They are. I can't explain, you know, what it is, but it's magic. I mean, that moment's magic. And so we have an entire event that we do based on that called Dogs Are Magic for that.
What?
Yeah. So
how do you keep track of all of? Are you only one person?
I am, but I'm like beyond lucky. I've been in nonprofits since I was 16, so I've been doing this for a hot minute. Yeah, and
you're perfect for this position.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, no, this is my dream gig for sure. But my board of directors is the best I've ever worked with. They are so hands-on, so supportive. And then we have about 300 volunteers total. So, I mean, 125 of them are with their dogs, but we have so many that aren't.
Others.
So they do
What
the
do they
website.
Oh, sure.
Website, marketing. They do, you know, the kind of the boring stuff like analytics. How do our programs do? How do we measure them? And again, I say boring, but some people love that. I'm not,
that's true.
Just like our people that do the accounting stuff and finance. I mean, to me, that's not like super fun, but they love it.
Right? Yeah,
So
I know.
I love it.
To each his own.
Yeah,
it takes all kinds.
Yeah.
It
So
does.
hey, go for it, man. But yeah, so and then the Youth Canine, we use mentors or coaches who work with the kids and the dogs in the program.
Oh, so those are volunteers that will go. Okay.
And they're trained how to be able to work with the kids because, again, they're not there to train the dog. They're there just to help the kids train the dog. So they really are a mentor or coach for that program. And we do always need volunteers for a program at the detention center, Marion County Juvenile Detention Center. You have to be 21. Okay. But what we else? Always need that. You have to be 21 and you have to be able to physically handle, you know, a bigger dog, basically. So 50 pounds, you know, can be the average for a dog, and they are not trained at the beginning. So, you know, when you're walking them down to where we have the program, they may pull, they may jump. They get better throughout the week as the kids train them, but we just have to make sure they're physically able to do that. And then we'll go through like some dog handling and stress signals and all that kind of stuff for them so that they're prepared. And then what to do with the kids. So what do you do if you're working with kids at the detention center and they say, I want to adopt the dog? Well, they're in the detention center. So how, you know, we walk through.
That's a hard no.
Right. So we walk through and say, well, okay, let's talk about what does it mean to adopt a dog? And we talk about the expenses and the time. And a lot of times the kids then say, oh, you know, like a light bulb goes off. And then they instantly say, okay, well, then I'm going to get this dog adopted. I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to teach them what they need to know so that they get a home. So it's such a rewarding program, but it is, I mean, it's hard. You're working with kids that are incarcerated, you're working with shelter dogs, but some people, I mean, it is like they were made, some of our volunteers to do that. So
perfect fits.
Yeah. And then I do have, you know, you said I'm one person. We've been so lucky in the last few years. We've gotten some grants so that I could hire 3 part-time employees.
Oh, wow. Excellent.
Yeah, which has been really good. So we have one that does the Paws to Read program, one that does the program at St. Vincent, and then a volunteer coordinator. And then we have some contract.
You would need one of those.
Yes.
I would think that's essential.
Oh, yeah. And then we have contract employees. So we have like an animal behaviorist and dog trainer that does the programs and stuff like that and does the therapy skills classes. So, yeah. So, I mean, we're like, again, really, it's unbelievable the amount of support and amazing people we have involved. And then, of course, we have these donors that have really been stepping up in the last, you know, couple of years that understand that for us to be able to do this, we have to be able to pay for it, which, you know, I wish we didn't. I wish I could just say, hey, you know, snap my fingers and we can pay, to take care of the dogs and all that stuff. But so that we could hire some of these people. And then we've been able to expand our programming, which is huge because we have a wait list that's like
the wait list is for
both youth canine programs and for visits, like places that'll call us and say we want to have a school program or we want to have a program at our hospital. And so, you know, we have wait list meetings every month where we go through and try to figure out what resources we have available to be able to fulfill these. So the more support we have from, you know, donors and sponsors and volunteers, the, you know, better we are to be able to fill all these needs.
Well, let's talk about the nitty gritty then. If somebody wants to make a donation or wants to contact you or wants to become a volunteer, wants to go through some of the training, what's the first step?
So our website's pawsandthink.org and it's all spelled out. And it's awesome. We have an awesome volunteer that does all that. And so it's very comprehensive. But there is a Get Involved tab for volunteers, and it goes through the application process to become a volunteer.
Okay.
And then for donate, it's just pawsandthink.org/donate. So, I mean, or slash, I don't know which way the slashes
Doesn't matter.
go. Yeah. Whatever the slash is, guys.
Just slide the card.
Yes. Just whatever the slash is. And we also, I mean, we have a banner at the bottom of the page that says, you know, click here to donate. And all of those, we're a nonprofit. So all of those donations are something that we're able to use in our community right here. So, I mean, everything we do is right here in Marion County and all the donut counties.
Wow. The donut counties, surrounding counties.
Yep.
Can we get one more close-up of
Is she asleep?
She kind of, does she sleep with her eyes open?
Well, she's, you know what it is?
Heard her
She's
name.
exhausted, but she still can't give it up because she wants to know what's happening. Look at her. Oh my gosh, honey. You're so tired. She's had a big day. It's hot. She's had a bath. I mean, it's been a big day for her.
She's got her Paws and podcast going.
I love that.
That's so
Yeah.
cute. All right.
Yes, very cool.
Kelsey Burton has been our guest with Paws and Think, pawsandthink.org.
Yeah.
We thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
It's been so much fun. Come back.
Yeah, anytime. We're going to do this. I think we're going to do Paws and Podcast. We're going to make it a thing, man.
And maybe it'll just be different paws, but it can always be you.
Yeah,
I'm good with it. And
I'm here.
Pipsqueak can just bring friends.
Yeah, I mean, she obviously is not a lot of work. She's just sleeping, so she's a good
Well,
co-host.
by not a lot of work, you mean just the last half
yes,
hour.
yes, right.
She's a lot of work.
Yes. Yeah.
She's precious.
She's a good co-host, though.
She is a good co-host. We'll have her back. Thanks so much for joining us today. This is
thank you.
Lifestyle Indie Podcast with Kelsey Burton, Paws and Think. And we've got another great guest headed your way in just a few minutes. But for now, peace out.